I'm sorry. I can definitely hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Welcome into Behind the
We good?
Mic. Coming to you live tonight from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center. El Segundo, Brad Dalius, Keith Jackson coming to you on a busy Thursday evening in the world of sports. As we have a lot to get into tonight, 1 hour. Don't forget, 7 to 8 Pacific time, BehindTheMicShow.com, also available for download on that official Behind the Mic app. We begin tonight, though, Keith, at the very top here, talking a little boxing. We do this time to time on the show. It's great to talk about what's going on in the ring. And this is a guy who we bring in right at the top tonight, who we interviewed a couple months ago, actually, here on the program. It's great to have him back. He's got a big fight coming up on August the 4th in upstate New York. His name is Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate. How are we doing tonight, man? Thanks so much for coming on the show. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on the show, you guys.
How are things going for you right now as far as, preparing for this fight? You haven't fought in a long time. Your last fight was last September, actually, so it's coming up to be,
Yep.
believe it or not, about a year. How are you feeling right now going into this fight?
I feel very good. I feel very motivated. I feel pumped up, and I feel like I'm ready to go. Unleash the beast.
Hey, champ, when I looked up and I found out that you were fighting Jalen Love, and I look at the lineup here, like the main event is Devin Alexander versus Andre Bernard, and then you turn down and you see Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate versus Jalen Love. I mean, that's something to be excited about to me because I'm like, wow, look at this lineup right here. You got this fight. You got a fight against Jalen Love. To me, he was a talented boxer, but you were a former champion. And you've been a great fighter for many years. How do you go in preparing for him?
Well, I prepare the same way as if I prepare for the best in the world. It's really no difference. I'm experienced. I have a lot of experience with going into title fights against opponents, against people that's credible challengers. So for me, it's really no difference. I'm focused. I'm pumped up, like I said, and I'm ready to go. I know he's really coming in to do his best to try to beat me, and my job is to stop that from happening.
What is it about Love's game that makes him very difficult in the ring?
His youth and his legs as well. He's very crafty with his legs, and he moves around. I think people don't really give him a lot of credit as far as the way he moves. They say he maybe moves and he looks like he on his bicycle, but that's why boxing is called boxing. It's not really about standing there in the pocket and getting hit. Some fighters can do that good, but other fighters can do got different other qualities that they can bring out in good fights. And I think more so, I got to be on my best game to be able to put out the best performance that I'm looking to put on.
Champ, I mean, this is honestly. Let's think about this for a second. You and Jay Leon, I'm sure you know him very well. You know this guy very well, and you're going into the ring with him, and you say you prepare the same way every time. How close to home is this fight to you?
I mean, it's on the East Coast first and foremost, so I'm familiar with this place. All my fans will be in attendance. All the media people in New York City, surrounding barrels, they're going to be there. And this, from what I understand, they're saying that I'm getting a lot of excitement from the media about me being on this card and looking for my next comeback. But this really looks like it could be put me in a line for a title shot.
We're talking to Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate here on Behind the Mic, getting set for his fight coming up on August the 4th in upstate New York against one Jalen Love. It never gets old, right? I mean, these big fights, Kid Chocolate, like we said, it's been about a year since you last fought, but I would imagine, just talking to you now, I'm getting the sense that the juices are still there, as they've always been. And I think that's the one thing, and tell me if I'm wrong, that all boxers, the ones who are in it consistently and have great long careers, they're always motivated, right? Regardless of how long they've decided to take a break, come out of retirement, you name it. The juices are always there. Does that sound about right?
Oh, champ. Probably lost him for a second.
So we might have lost Kid Chocolate there for a second.
Oh, there he goes.
He's coming back now.
Yeah.
He had to think about it. He's deep in thought, Keith.
About it not. Yeah. The thing about this is like I'm older, I'm experienced. You know, I've been in there with some of the best out there. So for me, it's really to stay structured behind what I've learned and put my truth into action. You know, Jay Leon, look, he's like I said, he's a very talented fighter. He's got youth on his side. I have power, I have explosion, I have experience, but this is a crossword fight. This is a fight that somebody, the loser, may have to ask themselves, you know, where should I go from here? And like I said, I feel very motivated. I've been training here at home. It was like a new thing to be training here in the house with my family, you know, with my wife and my kids, to lay in the bed with my wife. You know, that's something I never experienced in my boxing career. It's like laying in the same bed as my wife and then going to train to the gym like it's a full-time job. So, you know, this is the type of fight that, you know, fans are going to want to tune in to watch this, because you always going to want to know where the loser going to go from that point on.
And how tough was camp for you this year? I mean, preparing for this fight, champ. I mean, you know, like you said, this is something different. You stepped out the comfort zone a little bit by staying at home and training at home. But how tough was that camp? Because most camps, you guys go through it. You put your bodies through it, through those tough challenges. How tough was it for this time around?
Well, I've been working with a guy, Sosa, here. I never worked with him before, so I just had to get acclimated with him. So I've been training with him, and he's got different training tactics. When the last 2 years, I've been training a certain way. And, you know, when I come in and train with this other guy and he's got different training tactics, I'm like, man, you know, I never did back-to-back workouts. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I go from one gym to the other gym. And then, you know, I get back home like a full-time job. I never experienced that. I've been having a lot of luxury on my behalf, you know, having, you know, big fights and having money to put out there. I always had things easily said to me. But now I have to drive, like, sometimes an hour away to get to the gym, you know, spar different. We went to Long Island, almost took us 2 hours to get there to spar. Wow. 8 rounds, get back in the car and come back home. You know what I'm saying? So
I know all about those Long Island trips. I know all about that traffic.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, that traffic is horrible. That's probably why me and my wife didn't want to move to Long Island, because that traffic there. So, but that's really about it. You know what I'm saying? That's what made it hard, is that, you know, we have to sit down and sacrifice a lot of travel time. I have to get in the car, I have to sit in the car. I'm thankful I got my boy Vito. He helps me out by, you know, driving me to the gym. He comes here, I let him keep one of my cars, and he just pick me up, and we go to the gym. In return, you know, right now he's my camp manager right now.
That's awesome.
You've had a great, successful career so far. I want to really talk about you know, what you've learned in recent years since the defeat to Daniel Jacobs. Keith and I were talking about that a little bit before tonight's show off the air, and what maybe you've done to adjust your game to make sure that, because you're always learning, right? You're always learning new things. You're always tweaking different things with your game, with your fighting game. What's something maybe that the biggest thing you learned from that defeat a couple years ago that's made you a better boxer for it?
Reading my Bible daily. Probably the only thing I could say honestly I can learn. I could learn that, you know, things I already knew was going to happen was, like, once you take a defeat, all the people that said they was your supporters, they actually drop off and they're not there for you no more. So that was one thing. And another thing was like obedience to God. You know, you hear people saying thank God. You always hear people thanking God for when they win, but you ever hear somebody thank God for when they lose?
No.
That's a great point.
That's a good point.
Right. Exactly. So, you know, I just let you know how far a person's beliefs go with God. So for me, I'm willing to go to the extra mile, the extra lift, and be thankful for God for every circumstance I get to have in my life. So I think that's probably the most thing I ever learned, is that my obedience with God comes with blessing. That don't mean that I'm a win every fight, but I'm saying that I'm more I'm more confident to say I'm sorry, that the will of God will be put in place for every part of my career.
Chip, let's talk about this division. The middleweight division, you know, it's been a division now is getting back on the rise again. You have the welterweight that's really strong, but you guys are really like, do you like the direction that boxing is turning back into now? You know, to me, it feels like it's a cycle. Like it was at one point, boxing was down, but then it's come back up, and now it's like all these big fighters are now coming back, and they're starting to now, get these mega fights and these big fights like yourself, Peter Quillen versus Jalen Love. I mean, this is a fight you have to watch and see, of course, and it's an undercard. So, do you like the direction that your division is going?
Yeah, I'm fighting on primetime TV on Fox, and along with that, you have another fight on HBO. Sergey Kovalev is fighting, and then Frank Galazza is fighting. So it's like all these different fights are going down on TV, and it's like the exposure that boxing is getting right now. I'm thankful to be part of it. So for me, it's all about the exposure. How many eyes are going to be on these different boxing matches? You can pick and choose. Do you realize when LeBron James go to the Lakers, people will still watch the Lakers. They still going to watch the Warriors play on separate times. So, that's the way boxing is right now, that you can have different shows in the same day and all eyes will still be on boxing. That's what's important.
That's what it's about, right? I mean, fans are loyal. If they like the product, if they like what they're seeing, they're going to follow it.
Yep.
There's no question about it. Hey, last night
The only thing a person might not like is traffic going to Long Island.
Yeah, right, exactly. That is well documented. If you've done it once, you don't need to do it again. That's it. You know what it's all about after one time. Hey, last night we had the ESPY Awards here in L.A. Kid Chocolate. Best Fighter, that award went to Terrence Crawford. Your thoughts on Terrence getting that honor?
Well, especially where black people are right now, you see a lot of, stuff where people with racism getting exposed and stuff like that. To be able to see a black athlete to receive an award, I'm always going to tip my hat off to that. I think Terrence Crawford is one of our best fighters of our era right now, and I love to see him in exciting fights and superstar fights in the future. So thus, ESPY Award is only a little bit of what we should get to see of Terrence Crawford.
Champ, I got to ask you, after this fight, two things. What round does Jalen Love go down? And who do you want next after that?
Well, let's say it's James Aguero. Let's say James Aguero, or it's another dude named Chris Eubank. Some of those guys, those European guys overseas, I would love to be able to showcase my talent against a world fighter, a fighter that's from another country, like that's built up a good following. So like Chris Eubank, James Aguero are good fights for me. More importantly, I think the best thing for me to be able to do is just focus on the fight with Jalen Love. Jalen goes whatever round he pick and chooses. If he chooses to go to 10 rounds, there's going to be 10 rounds of hell that I'm going to give to him.
Nothing else to say after that one, right?
Nothing else to say, man. I know. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this fight. Like I said, when I looked at the lineup, I was like, wow. I mean, it's an undercard, but I'm like, no. This should be actually, these two fights should be actually considered the main events, because both of these guys can fight, number one, and this is going to be a brawl. These two guys, and Devin Alexander Andre Bell is going to be a good fight as well. But these are going to be good fights right here, and it's good for boxing. So I'm excited for it, man. Congratulations for you, champ, for even this fight even happening. I know everybody needs to tune in and watch this.
Man, thank y'all for me. Catching the Ladies the Greatest on me is a hard day of hard work, and I got to finish my night off with you guys, and I think it was a pleasure. And one thing I learned from your co-host is that, Long Island traffic is shitty, and I agree with him. So I guess
it's worse than LA.
We can agree on one.
LA always gets the bad rap, but Long Island's worse. I don't know why LA gets the bad rap, but Long Island's worse.
You're from there.
I'm not from Long. I'm from Pennsylvania, but it's bad.
Try going to the Hamptons, enjoying your trip, and then coming back in traffic. It'll ruin your whole trip.
Yeah, it was brutal. I know what you're talking about. Kid Chocolate, Peter Quillen joining us here on Behind the Mic. A lot of fun talking to you, man. Don't forget, once again, the fight coming up. Peter Quillen taking on Jalen Love, August the 4th, upstate New York on Fox Sports. Definitely tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chap.
Thank you for having me. God bless you.
You too.
There he goes once again. Kid Chocolate joining us here. Peter Quillen on behind the mic, taking on Le'Veon Love, Jalen Love on August the 4th. Like you said, Keith, I think you summed it up the best, saying that this should be the main event fight.
Yeah, I know Jay Leon. He's a great fighter. He's skillful. He's quick. He's strong. He's fast. But there's just one thing about Kid Chalk. Like you said, he's older, wiser, but the dude can hit, and he has a lot of power behind his punches. And there's a reason why he was a former he used to be a middleweight champion. There's a reason for it. And I think, when he fought Daniel Jacobs, I saw that one. He just caught him on a bad night. That's it. And he's really hasn't, how most fighters, like you said, it's hard for them to get back once they've been defeated. For him, it's just been like, it's not like it's really haven't really affected him. He's just like,
I see that. Yeah, you get that sense.
Yeah,
he's just moving forward, and he's just continuing to climb, push through.
He knows how to push through, and man, if he beats him, which I think he has a great chance of doing, it's going to be interesting to see who comes up next. So, but look, Floyd Mayweather's camp over there, they train Jay Leon. Jay Leon's a great fighter, and they're going to train him, and they're going to get him right and get him ready. So, it's not going to be it's definitely not going to be easy. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely not going to be an easy fight for Kid Chocolate. But tune in and watch, because I think it's going to be a great one.
Fox Sports once again coming up on August the 4th. In other news tonight, as we go around the world of sports, Dodgers and the Angels will get back at it tomorrow night as we officially get the second half of the baseball season underway. Dodgers going to open up a 10-game road stand starting in Milwaukee. It's also the debut of Manny Machado. Everyone is looking forward to that. The Angels will kind of, on the flip side of that, will start a 10-game homestand down in Anaheim. So, and also good news today out of Angels camp was that Shohei Ohtani has been cleared to start throwing here very soon. That's great news for them as they make their push here starting the second half to move towards, if not the division, a wild card spot. So that's both teams get underway tomorrow, second half. Only one game going on tonight in baseball. That's the Cardinals and Cubs, 8-5 right now, Chicago in the 8th inning on ESPN.
But this is a great opportunity for the Angels again, because if they can get the wild card spot, then that can actually, to me, help Mike Trout with his decision if he's going to stay or leave. Because look, he's only got 2 years left on his contract, and again, you got to figure out what you want to do with him after this year. If you don't make the playoffs, he's tired of not making the playoffs.
Yeah, they're never going to trade him. If he leaves, he's just going to walk on his own.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's where you go. That's what I'm saying is, like, if he walks on his own, you don't get nothing for him. That's gonna suck for your organization.
Big time.
You at least get something for him. So I think that it's important, like I mentioned before, that they make the playoffs this year. And the wild card at least, because then that would kind of tell them, like, look, we're going in a positive direction. We're getting there. And with the addition of Tani coming back and things like that, that it could possibly help them and catapult them, to say, hey, you know what, give me that extension or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure
Absolutely.
He's going to wait until his
they know that this is big. If they don't make the playoffs, I'll reiterate this. I think heads are definitely going to roll there. And if not Sosha, it's going to be someone in the front office.
Yeah.
Because they've put so much into this year, and the end result, if they don't make the postseason, it's just not going to sit well with the Angels fans. They're very patient down there in Anaheim as far as the fan base goes. I mean, extremely patient.
Loyal, too.
It's crazy, right? But, if they don't make the postseason, it's just not going to sit over well. And it's tough out of the gates here. It's a 10-game homestand, and in that homestand they get a 4-game set against the White Sox, which is one of the worst teams in baseball. But you start off with a tough one, 3-game set opening up tomorrow night against the Astros. So you start off right away against the defending champs, very difficult there. And then the back end of that 10-game homestand is against the Seattle Mariners, 3 against the M's from the Pacific Northwest. So 6 games in total out of that 10 that are against divisional opponents, and that division's been a lot better than people thought this year, the American League West. So this will be a crucial homestand for them, no doubt. Just like the Dodgers will have a crucial 10-game road trip coming up. They take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Then they play in Philadelphia to take on the Phillies for a couple games, and then they're down in Atlanta to face a young and sparky Brave squad who's been very, very good so far in the first half of 2018, and they'll probably look to do and build on that coming up in the second half. So that's what you got right now, Boys in Blue and the Halos going forward into baseball's second half of the season. And don't forget, once again, Manny Machado makes his debut tomorrow night for the Dodgers in Milwaukee. That will definitely be must-see TV. Other news today from across the pond, Keith. The British Open, it was round 1 at Carnoustie. Very difficult golf course. We talked about it last end of the program with Luke Norris from Fansided.com. He was basically saying it was going to be tricky. A lot of people were comparing it to Shinnecock at the U.S. Open from last month. And it was, it played fairly easy today. If you were lucky to get your round in at the beginning of the day, you were really lucky, and that's what a couple guys did who were at the top of the leaderboard, including the leader, Kevin Kisner, who's at 5 under par, 66 on the day. Tony Finau, who we mentioned last night, is a guy who could potentially be in contention this week. He shot 4 under, 67, and you had a couple other notables in there in the top 5. Danny Willard, who was somewhat competitive at the Masters a couple of months ago. He shot 2 under par. But that was basically about it. Zach Johnson, former Masters champion, also at 2 under par. There was only, Keith, about 50, 30, maybe 36, I want to say. There's only about 36 golfers or so who were actually under par today. And everyone else out of the 156 or so in the field shot over par. So, again, if you happened to be out on the course playing earlier in the day, it was to your benefit. The wind picked up a little bit later in the day, and man, it made a difference. It definitely did. Tiger struggled a bit. He came out playing well, like we talked about off the air. Birdied the first hole, birdied two of the first 5 holes or so, and it looked like he was going to make even some more noise. But as we've seen before, he missed a couple of putts that probably could have went down. They were just an inch or so off, and then he gave a couple back with some bogeys on the back 9, and that's when the wind picked up, and it was tough for anybody who was out there. So one of those uneven days again for Tiger. Hard to read overall. Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at a quote that he said. In quote, I thought I played very solid round, and he tees off tomorrow at 10:20 a.m. local time. So, I mean, hopefully that's the wind is down at around that time. I mean, when he tees off, and, hopefully it's down around that time. But, it's for Tiger, I guess, like Luke said earlier, him changing up his game a little bit, going with the irons. A lot more with the irons instead of the driver, kind of worked in his favor. I mean, he ended up even in par, which is what he typically wants to do all the time. So hopefully tomorrow he can come out a little aggressive, and then the other guys as well, like the Tony Fleetwoods of the world, and those guys, and to see how they do. But Kessler, I mean, coming out in 5 over par, that's a big lead, and so if he can hold on to that for the next couple of days, I mean, he's definitely in a driver's seat, and he can at least hold on for the next couple of days. If he shoots even a decent, if he even pars the next round, just sits even.
Oh yeah,
he's in a good position. So it's going to be interesting what these guys, how these guys perform these next couple of days. They're just warming up, getting back, and you just never know. I guess you just never know with the wind. It's really tough out there when you start to shoot.
It is, and you would think that, if it only just gusts up to maybe 10, 15 miles an hour, you're like, oh, it's just a little bit of wind. It's not a big deal. It's not like it's 30, 35, right?
Yeah.
But as they were saying on the telecast today, some of those courses over there in Scotland and England, even if it just kicks up a bit, that can make a world of a difference as far as how you approach hitting some of these different shots, in and around the green especially, off the tee, you name it, the entire game. So it only takes a little bit to kind of tip the scale.
What happened to Dustin Johnson?
He didn't have a good round today. He did not play well.
I mean, this guy was on the roll for a while. We were talking about him earlier, and it's like, man, it is. I guess it's like the one. You know what we were talking about earlier about the Dodgers and earlier this season, the one-hit wonder. And we're like, oh, but man, he's 5 under. I mean, 5 over. That's kind of not looking too nice.
It's not, and this is what I was saying last night, and I think this is a guy who, unfortunately, when the lights have gotten the brightest on the biggest stages in golf, he's not played his best.
Yeah.
Played well in the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Open, then on the 3rd round and during the weekend last month at Shinnecock, just kind of fell apart a little bit and really yielded that big lead he had to Brooks Koepka, who just swooped in and, took it away from there. So he's not creating a good rap for himself here, Keith.
It's hard when the bright lights is on you.
I know
now.
what I'm saying.
All the eyes are on you, and you just perform the way you perform.
Exactly.
A lot of pressure.
And this is a guy, too, who it's been hyped up in golf. They want him to be the next superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, he's number 1 in the world. He's won a couple different tournaments that are off majors. And it looks like he has the complete game to do it, but he's never going to get to that status, obviously, if he can't put it together and win a couple more of these majors here. It doesn't hurt also, like I said, when he makes noise and he gets to the top of the leaderboard, then he falls back a bit. But, yeah, this round today, not the start that he was looking for. I asked last night, I posed a question to Luke. I said, does he have the most pressure on him this week, being Dustin Johnson? And he said he really didn't think so. I just disagree. I mean, when you're number 1 in the world, you're going to be expected every single time out to be very at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And when you're not, people are going to start saying, what's going on? What's wrong with Dustin?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the type of narrative that's going to be created here. And he's just going to have to figure out whatever it is. But this was not a good start today. And like you kind of alluded to before, Keith, it's very difficult in any of these majors when you get down, and especially when you post like a 5 over to start and you're 10 back. Yeah. It's almost impossible to come back. I mean, especially because British Opens, the history of the British Open tells us that the scores are just going to probably get better.
Yeah.
And, you're going to see scores move more towards -6, 7, 8 under par versus going the other way. History tells us that, at least. So Dustin Johnson, that's just a huge hole to start with. And, compare that to Tiger Woods, even par, like you said, not bad. That's kind of what he wants to do. But at the same time, I look at it from the perspective of there was definitely he left some stuff out there on the course.
Yeah.
And he could have done better. It's tough because from where he's playing right now and compared to where he was at before, some people thought he would never even get to this point where he'd be playing like this at all in a major. So we have to obviously take that for what it is. But at the same time, it's Tiger Woods, and we're always going to hold him at a higher standard.
Yeah, it is. And, he's always been that guy that can hold pressure pretty well. And I think he takes it on the chin when he's doing horrible. And so, I just want to see him if he can just end strong. That's it. It's really tough when you go into these golf tournaments and it's like that back 9. I mean, you want to end strong, right? You don't want to end the way you start. You don't want to start the way you started. You kind of want to end that way as well if you're doing really well in that front 9. So, it really does kind of suck in a way because it leaves like a taste in your mouth. Like, dang, I did get that front 9, but that back 9, that's going to be on his mind tomorrow.
No doubt.
I definitely think that. So hopefully he changes some little things up. Jordan Spieth's another guy that, defending champ on top of that, and I think he shot 1 under, I think, today.
Yeah, he's 1 over.
1 over, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He shot 1 over. And so, him, the same thing. I guess the winds got to him as well. But, these guys, I think at the end of the day, they just want to make the cut. And then after making that cut, they get more aggressive and trying to make a push to the leaderboard. So we'll see, man. But Kessler, that's a great way to start and finish.
I'm telling you, right? 5 under 66 the first day. That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I was really surprised by Tiger's birdie on number 1, actually, because historically, if you look back, he has struggled mightily on the first hole in any major. He's always struggled. And to see him come out and hit a birdie right away, I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, and I think that's his focus in a way. Like you said, historically, the way you start, you're like, oh, my gosh, I'm starting off bad,
Well, it was brutal at the U.S. Open last month. I mean, it was almost the week was over for him before it almost began.
Yeah. The minute that ball hit the club, it was over. Yeah. So, you're absolutely right. So, hey, he's even. I think it would be great to him to be one one under at least. You know,
Yeah.
it would have been great at least 1 or 2 under. But look, you take the chips where they fall. He's even right now. Hopefully he can pick it up and get himself back. You know, start just moving, inching himself up the way up the board. So we'll see, man. I hope he can do it though, man.
Oh yeah, you and me
Jeez.
both. If he can stay 5 or even get to 4 shots back after tomorrow's round, I think that's a great spot for him.
Yeah.
I think that's a great spot for
Yeah.
him. Because, I mean, based off of today, I do expect the scores, like I said, because traditionally they do get better as the week goes along.
Exactly.
But I don't think they're going to be crazy good tomorrow. I'm thinking, maybe like 200-300 par, so maybe the leader goes to, and that's assuming Kistner shoots as good as he did today. Maybe you're looking at 6-7 under par. I mean, again, if Tiger can maybe get to 2 or 3 under, that's striking distance.
It's also depending on Mother Nature too, man.
That's true as
Mother
well.
Nature takes a big part of it.
It does. I mean, this event over there, and it's always so unpredictable when they play
Yeah.
over there in Scotland or England. So yeah, that's a big time part of it, no question about it. And we'll have to see how all that plays out. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Keith, he's just trying to make the cut. He's just trying to make the cut, Tiger. That's got to be where it starts tomorrow. And now, like I said, he played well in the first hole today. Now the question becomes, can he do that again tomorrow?
Yeah.
Can he replicate that start? Because he'll need to replicate it tomorrow.
Yeah, he does.
That'll be huge for the confidence, obviously, and to be able to shake off what happened on the back nine and just moving forward into the day. That'll be good. And by the way, they actually start the coverage tomorrow morning. I always love it because it's crazy. You can stay up crazy late because they're ahead with the time difference, especially on the West Coast. Second round coverage actually starts tonight at 11 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, maybe I may have to stay up and watch a little bit of that.
I definitely will. It's always wild how there's such the major time difference there, and I mean it's truly like late night at the British Open.
Yeah. Well, look, if you're up late, watch some golf, man. I mean, shoot, it's a good one. So and especially got an American on the board as the leader. I'm rooting for him, man. I hope I can do well though. It's good, but it's also good to see. That guys in golf, it's like Luke said earlier, you never know with players in golf. Like, you just never know. They're a guy that you would think that would never be up on the leaderboard or top 5 is now leading the U.S. Open or the British Open or the Masters or the FedEx Cup. It doesn't matter. It's just that's how it is. And so the guys that you expect to win all the time, it just doesn't happen that way. Hey, look, Tiger he's at the back end of his career, as we know. But, if he can keep it up, man, if he can just keep up what he's doing right now and hopefully stay either even or go under, like you said, he'll be in a good position come Sunday. So we'll see. Expect
the unexpected.
Yeah.
That's always the motto there.
Yeah.
It's Behind the Mic. We are coming to you live tonight from Kings Cove at the Toyota Sports Center in El Segundo, just off Nash Street. Brad and Keith hanging out until 8 o'clock Pacific. We will take a break. On the other side, we will talk about the Carmelo Anthony trade today to the Atlanta Hawks. He will be an Atlanta Hawk for a grand total of about 5 seconds, Keith.
2 minutes.
And then he will be free to sign with whoever he chooses as they will waive him. That's the report that came out today. We'll discuss that and more. Final thoughts coming up as well. It's Behind the Mic. Stay tuned.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org. Brought to you by the Stephen and Alexandra Cohen Foundation and this station.
Every 17 minutes, Make-A-Wish makes the impossible possible. They tame dragons. They bring Saturn to Earth. They help superheroes save entire cities. They even make unicorns fly. all to give children the strength they need to fight their critical illnesses. Every wish takes muscle. Help us make sure every wish comes true. Join us at wish.org.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
You're listening to Behind the Mic with Brad Dalius.
We're back here live inside the Toyota Sports Center. Brad Dalius and Keith Jackson behind the mic. Online at BehindTheMicShow.com. Also available on the Behind the Mic app. We've got our live streaming going on right now across social media. We chatted earlier tonight with Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate himself. He's got a big fight coming up on August the 4th in upstate New York against Jalen Love. We're looking forward to that on Fox Sports. Like Keith Jackson said, what are they doing playing that as the undercard? It should be the main event.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
So we'll see after the fight. Maybe it'll get a little more love in that sense.
Maybe, you know. Look, Andre Berto, shout out to him. His fight against Devin Alexander, that was going to be two lethal guys who are very quick and very fast. And, you know, that may go the distance as well. But if it doesn't, you know, somebody's going to get either knocked out, like quickly with that fight because those guys are real feisty and fast with their hits and stuff. So that's going to be interesting. Peter Quinlan and Jalen Love, you got to give that's all power and everything right there. Those guys are going to go against the ropes. They're going to brawl, though. It's going to be a good fight, though. You got to watch it. Stay tuned.
I'm looking forward to it. I definitely will check it out for sure. You get me into boxing. A lot more so.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, before we even started doing this show, I did not give boxing a second look. I mean, Mayweather versus Pacquiao was probably, and then after that, it was Mayweather versus McGregor for me.
Yeah.
I just was not that tuned into it, but a lot more so now.
Yeah, look, it's to me. I've been I love boxing. I watch it. You know, I've been watching UFC. I've been starting to get a little fan of UFC and things like that. How those guys fight. But you know what the difference is between why UFC and boxing, and why UFC has been so popular, because Dana White, you got one guy in there doing all the work. Dana White's like, hey, no, you're going to fight this person, and that's how it's going to be, and that's what you're going to do, and that's how it is. In boxing, it's the whole prime example is Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. How you got so many hands in this fight, with promoters to TV networks, that then it's just, you know, they can't fight, you know. So something always mishaps happen, and it doesn't work out. So those the type of things that, to me, like why, you know, boxing has kind of fell down, but now it's back up. You know, they're starting to be more. I guess the promoters, they're starting to be like, hey, look, we got to make these fights happen because it's really affecting the sport, and so. You know, now they're starting to, and it's really starting to be more of an excitement to watch. And I thank Floyd Mayweather for what he's done. I mean, fighting a UFC fighter, Conor McGregor, that was huge. For boxing, that helped out. The Manny Pacquiao fight was incredible, was huge, and people didn't like that and all this and that, but it was a great fight.
What do you think about Pacquiao coming out today and looking
calling
for a
him out?
rematch?
Hey, look, you never know with Floyd. I'm going to tell you that right now. You never know. You never know. If he ever gets it, the guy stays in shape. He stays in shape. He runs. He works out with his boxers. Right now, he's focused on his fighters and promoting them. But I'm not. You can't. I'm not going to say that he won't do it. You know, he's like.
I don't think he's going to risk the 50-0 mark.
I'm not going to say look, man. When I watched that fight, Floyd, everybody said he ran against Pacquiao. That's bull. Like, watching that fight and watching what he did. Look, Manny Pacquiao couldn't hit him, and he was tagging him, and he outboxed him. So, and Floyd's a boxer. He ain't a brawler. He's not. Manny Pacquiao's a brawler. Floyd's not that. He's not going to sit in the middle of the ring and let you hit on him. He's never done that in his career. He's the best defensive fighter there is to ever fight, you know, and I'm saying all around. I'm talking Ali's, I'm talking everybody, and so to me, I'm not gonna say that he wouldn't go back and fight Manny Pacquiao, and I'm not gonna say he is, but I wouldn't put it past. If it happened, it could happen. Yeah. He could come back and get another itch. You know, he's like that. He's that type of guy where he's like, I'll do what I want. It's all about the dollars to him, man. That's why he's called Floyd Money Mayweather. It's all about the money. If it's going to generate a lot of money, he'll do it if it's worth it. He's a smart businessman, man, and that's true.
Don't forget it, right? Don't forget it. Other news today we got to get into. Carmelo Anthony, as we teased before the break, is headed to the Atlanta Hawks for a short, very period amount of time here. Yeah, that's about it, whatever you want to call it. And then he's going to be waived. And all indications are he's going to sign with the Houston Rockets. Maybe the Miami Heat. It looks like they might be like somewhat of a dark horse here in the running for him. But it looks like probably Houston. I mean, considering they lost Trevor Ariza, if they don't get Melo, it's going to be a huge disappointment for them, no?
Yeah. But the thing is, this is my thing. I scratched my head on this. Melo didn't really get along with D'Antoni.
Well, that's the interesting part about this,
so
right?
I'm like, why? How is? I don't get this move. If Melo wants to go there, I get Chris Paul's his boy, Dwayne Wade's his boy. But you didn't get along with D'Antoni. He's the coach, and you want to start. And I don't know. I can't see it. Look, it could happen. It makes sense that, look, buy him out. That's how the Dwight Howard thing went, buy him out, then get him for cheap, But for me, I think a good move would be for Melo. I like South Beach move, though. I like the Miami move.
Yeah.
I kind of do. I think in a way, like, look, man, there's really, like, the West is so loaded. And
that's true.
It's so loaded. And
what's the goal here for Melo? I think that's the biggest question that has to be answered. What is his goal? Is it to win a championship?
That's my thing. It's hard to say, and I really don't think it is. I think he just don't have I don't think he has it. I don't think he has the ambition or the will to win one. I think he's okay with just, like, you know what, playing out my career, making the money. I got gold medals. I won a national championship.
Yeah, he surely made the money.
So I think that's what it is. And also he's doing things with Vice Sports. He does a lot. So, I think he's on that route. I really don't know, man. It would be interesting to me to see that it just throws everybody in the whirlwind and he goes and, like, somewhere where he can actually win a ring. I mean, you're at the back end of your career. You probably only got 2 years left or a year left. I would go after the ring, man. You got the money. They're going to buy you out. You got the money. Why not? I'm like Boogie Cousins. Who cares what y'all think? My career ain't going to be about what y'all think. I get that. So.
I don't blame any guy who wants to get a ring at the end.
Especially at the end, if you've made all the money, you constantly. I mean, come on. He got the endorsement deals, Brad. He has everything.
I know.
He has money. He's going to go down as one of the top 5, top 10, top 25 players in his time. So, you can't knock Carmelo Anthony. Like, there's no way.
You can knock him for a lot of different things.
Well, you can not. Wait, you gonna knock him for ring chasing? Come
no,
on, man.
not that. No, I just got done saying I don't blame players for trying to get rings. No, I blame him for basically not performing at his peak level in New York in the Big Apple when he was being paid to, really be. He should have been the best player in the league.
And that's why I scratched my head, because who was the coach at the time?
I know, that's the thing. That's the D'Antoni effect. Why it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me why he would go back to D'Antoni and go play for D'Antoni if that didn't work out for him. And that's why I'm leaning more towards South Beach than I am Houston. On top of that, why you want to go to a Houston team who's in such a disarray right now? Clint Capella, they can't even sign him. He's very upset. And you don't know how he's going to come out and play. He may not even go hard. He may just like, look, man, I didn't get my money or this and that. Chris Paul took all the money, man.
Yeah, he drained them dry.
He drained them. And I'm like, geez, There's
not much left.
I mean, LeBron didn't even drain the Lakers. Like, damn, Chris Paul. But, it's just interesting to me to see, like, how that's going. I really scratched my head on that, on Carmelo going to Houston. So, we'll see in the next couple of days what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Golden State. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, me neither. I kind of agree with you, though. Miami would seem to make the most sense.
Yeah.
And if he does sign with the Heat, that would almost be like, him – that would be his sunset, riding off into the sunset, because you wouldn't hear too much, because Miami's not going to be a big-time player.
No.
They can't compete with Boston at this point in time, or Philly for that matter.
Yeah.
So, there are a couple teams back of the top dogs in the East, let alone anybody in the Western Conference. So if you were to go to Miami, that would kind of be his last stop, one would think. But, yeah, like you said, Keith, Golden State is always there, and they would get him at the veterans minimum.
Yeah.
So it's got to be very appealing, obviously, to both parties, actually. If Golden State, because why not? They're just bolstering what they already have. They're already pretty much impenetrable as it is, and it makes a lot of sense for the Melo camp as well. So this is going to be fun to see where he does sign. But again, I'll go back to, if Houston doesn't get him, Houston has set up this narrative that it's an epic failure, basically, for them.
Yeah, it's an epic failure. So we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens, man. We'll definitely see. I'm excited. NBA season is going to be very exciting for me this upcoming season. But the Melo situation right here, the Hawks picking him up for a second. What the Hawks get out of this deal?
Not much.
Not much. Like that's what's interesting to me. The Dennis Schroeder, they got rid of that contract, but And then I guess, of course, I knew something was going to happen with him because I was like, is Trae Young going to be sitting in Pine? I was like, I guess he's really running the team. He's going to be running the team. They're going to let him run the show. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the Atlanta Hawks. I'm very excited to see what Trae Young can do this year. He really picked it up towards the end of the summer league. So, it looks like they're going to go with him. But Carmelo Anthony, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that I really do want to see Carmelo win a ring. I want to see that.
Yeah, like you said, he's really accomplished a lot. And although the biggest criticism, at least from me, is that he did not perform at a superstar level in New York, he still was a very good basketball player. He's not a Hall of Famer.
No.
But he's very good. He had a, good to very good career at different points. And you talked about the Olympics, the accolades achieved there, individual awards throughout. But as far as the team championship award, that's just what's eluded him. And yeah, I don't think it shouldn't surprise a lot of people if he's able to maybe go to a Golden State to get that ring. But he's really shown no indication of that being what he really wants to do. And if that is his intention, it's been kept on the down low, very quiet.
Yeah.
So that's the latest with Carmelo Anthony. Other news today that's currently going on as far as, we all know what happened yesterday in basketball. Obviously, the Kawhi Leonard trade, he's off to Toronto. Obviously, more will come out. We'll have a lot more to say with that in the coming weeks as far as if he's going to play for the Raptors or not. What does it mean for the Lakers' perspective? We both agreed last night that it's probably the best team that he possibly could have went to, being Toronto in the East. And the Lakers probably are in a good spot right now. And it's just a matter of basically the Lakers, in my opinion, not being tempted here because Toronto could easily tomorrow go to Johnson and Pelinka and say, if you want Kawhi, you got him, but you're going to have to give up Brandon Ingram and or Lonzo Ball or, maybe Kyle
I'll give
Kuzma
up Lonzo.
as well. Yeah, Lonzo Ball, we're all in agreement of that. But Kyle Kuzma, though.
No. I don't think they'll give Kyle Kuzma, but I think
Toronto may ask for that, though.
They may ask for that, but I can see Toronto being more fair, not going like what the Spurs would talk about. I want Kyle Kuzma. I want Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram. And who else they asked for? Josh
Hart.
Josh Hart. Oh, and 3 first-round future draft pick. Come on, get out of here. Who's going to do that?
No one.
Nobody's going to do that. But, maybe Toronto could give us something more reasonable. I would like I said, I would give up B.I. and Lonzo for Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that's a fair trade. But, what's interesting to me is you find it out today that they're making a report that, which I think is bogus, that Kawhi Leonard's warming up to going to Toronto. Warming up a little bit going to Toronto. No, he's not. Let's don't. That's bogus.
Not what we heard at all 24 hours ago.
Yeah, that's bogus. No, I'm not listening to that report. That is bogus. He is not warming up going to Toronto.
Who reported that one?
That was actually on a Twitter going to, who was that? Was that Dan Ravel? I don't think it was Dan Ravel. Who was it? Was on a Twitter today. This morning we're talking
like
about
a personal account, not like an organization.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's not warming up to going to Toronto. I don't see that happening. I think Toronto needs to make a play and actually move him sooner than later because they're not going to get anything out that deal. They're not going to get anything, So it's going to be interesting to see what the next couple of days, what the Lakers are going to do, and also what Toronto's going to do. So, and on top of that, the tax there is insane for Toronto.
Yes.
So
I've heard.
That's really cruel. That was another thing that's so cruel about what the Spurs did to him. But you know what? Like I said, man, Kawhi, you get what you reap what you sow, man. Like, you were unprofessional the way you left them. You at least could have been with the team during their run.
That was probably the thing that irked me the most was at the end of the regular season, end of the postseason, not being with the team.
Yeah, you at least could have been with the team.
He could have been.
You could have been with the team if you didn't want to play. You at least could have been with the team, and you didn't. And so I just go off and say that, you reap what you sow, man. They send you over to a place, and they hit your pockets a little bit.
Just a bit.
It hit, So it's going to be look, I don't think Kawhi's going to go to Toronto. I don't think he's going to play. I agree with you. I think he's more of the person that just how he is. He will sit out and say, I'll sit out the whole year. and I think there's not going to be any. It's not gonna help Toronto. I just don't like the move for Toronto at least, because I don't think they're going to get nothing out of that. Drake is not going to persuade Kawhi Leonard to come there. Out of all people, Drake be like, Kawhi be like, no, I want to stay in LA.
I'm not seeing that one.
I cannot see that happen. He wants to come to LA. I think Lakers should make a play for him, and let's just be done with this.
Final thoughts.
My final thoughts. I just looked up the something. I saw a report. I was thinking about it, but I gotta go with the Nuggets picking up Michael Porter Jr. I mean,
this is not a surprise.
This is not a surprise. I've been really strong about this on the show. I thought he would be a second-round pick, maybe third, because here you got a guy who let's go back a little bit, Brad.
Yeah.
Who was an incredible high school player. McDonald's All-American, best high school player in the country, goes to the University of Missouri, wants to play with his brother, gets a severe back injury, career injury, comes back, rushes back, comes back in the NCAA towards the end of the season, plays an NCAA tournament, only played 3 games in college. Had the work. I mean, the stat line was horrible. It was like 6 points. He'll put up average about 4. He was averaging 4 points a game.
Wasn't a good look.
In the NCAA tournament, only had 6 points in a game. Here he is, enters the draft, which I think it was a bad move on his part. I thought he rushed it. I think the University of Missouri I think they said, hey, if he wants to play, go ahead. We knew he's going to be out. He's going to leave. He's a one and done guy, but he rushes it instead of staying and getting himself right, getting to the tournament the following year and doing something, being a first pick probably. He rushes it, gets bumped all the way down. Okay, his agent decides to come out and say he got injured again because he didn't want to go to a certain city. And now you look over here now, and now you find out that Michael Porter Jr. has another surgery, and the Denver Nuggets have the audacity to come out and say that we think this is for the best of his career, and this will help his career a little bit. No, that's bogus. This surgery, second back surgery, is bad news for the Denver Nuggets. For picking him in the first round, they had other guys they could pick. He should have been a second-round pick in the job. Sorry, not to be this harsh, but he should have been a second-round pick, not a guaranteed contract, because his back is a problem for the organization. I don't get this move. They don't know. They don't have a timeable table when he's going to come back. Exactly. Like I said, he rushed it. It was a bad move for Denver Nuggets to pick him up. This is why the other teams didn't pick him up right here, because they knew why. So Michael Porter Jr. bamboozled the Denver Nuggets and got his money, and he's going to be sitting down probably the whole season. But it's fortunate. I feel bad for him. The guy has another surgery on his back. That's one thing you don't want to have to do, man. Is have surgery on your back. That's the number one thing. Is having surgery on your back. It sucks. My father had it, surgery on his back. It's a tough thing. You don't want it. So fortunate for him, but sorry, Denver Nuggets, you should have made that move.
ESPYs were great last night, like we talked about earlier. We had a little fun with that with Kid Chocolate. Nick Foles, though, was a big star last night, Keith. Front row there. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, he would be where he is now just a year ago. But it also comes out today that he beats one Tom Brady to top the spot on the NFL's Players Association's top 50 player sales list.
God, what?
Nick Foles is number 1 on the sales list. What?
Oh, my gosh.
Where did that come from?
Get out of here. That won't happen after the season.
No, it won't, unless, like I said, unless Carson Wentz stinks it up and Nick Foles is inserted back into the lineup. Right now, I'm telling you, Nick Foles, I mean, if he hasn't already been given the key to the city in Philly, man, get that guy everything.
Yep.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's crazy that he is number 1 in the sales right now for player sales, the top 50 in the NFLPA's list. Just crazy stuff. Like I said, was front and center last night. I can actually see him being a broadcaster one day.
Yeah,
I could see him doing that. He's got the personality for it. And I could see him developing into a very good color analyst. I wouldn't be surprised one day down the line if we see that.
Yeah, I agree. He's a great guy. He played a hell of a Super Bowl. Great talent to watch, and what a story for him. So kudos to Nick Foles. Yippee.
What did you think about the ESPYs? You catch some of it last night?
I did.
It
was great. It was a great show. I guess the highlight of my night was, to be honest with you, was the USA women's gymnastics team and all of them coming out and talking about their abuser. It's we don't want to ever see that happen to anyone. And for 30 years, Brad, 30 years, and it's just how they kept them silent. I really feel for them, and I'm glad they caught him. I'm glad he's in jail. I hope he rots under the jail. And I'm glad. What bravery those women went up on stage and talked about it. And this should help, to me, women all over. Women, men, kids, whatever. If there's an abuser or somebody, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid. So I'm glad that happened.
Powerful scene. That's the word for me that stood out about that moment. Just powerful to see all those women, like you said, up on stage. You saw Allie Raisman there was front and center along with some of the other gymnastics greats. And it's hard to comprehend, obviously, of how long in the making that moment was, unfortunately. But, if there's any silver linings that come out of it, which I think most of us would like to think that just about anything in life, regardless of what it is, some good can come out of it. And I think that the good, obviously, is stronger women and a stronger generation of women afford it. And you saw that last night. Great scene there. Totally agree with you. Jim Kelly accepting the Jimmy V Award. Again, that guy's just an inspiration to everybody. And his story just gets more inspiring, it seems, as time goes along. So obviously, it was great to see him accept that award, and just great show overall. Danica Patrick really killed it last night. Great job hosting the first woman ever host the ESPY Awards. So she did a great job with that, and the jokes were on point. I thought they didn't go overboard. It was good. It was funny, and it did the trick.
Yeah, it did.
So it was great. It was a great time last night taking in the ESPYs in downtown LA. Great time. So great show tonight here. We're going to wrap it up from Kings Cove inside the Toyota Sports Center. We're back next week, next Tuesday, from Patrick Malloy's in Hermosa Beach. And in just less than, actually coming up on 2.5 weeks, Monday, August the 6th, we will be live, KABC, 790 a.m., 11 p.m. to midnight, the sports wrap-up for the day. We'll have it covered in addition to great guests as well. We can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's coming up really quick. Once again, Monday, August 6th, the debut of Behind the Mic on KABC. For Keith, I'm Brad. Have a great weekend, everybody. Keep living the dream. We'll talk to you next week.